Services. Catholic Relief Services, which helps vulnerable people around the globe, is urging President Trump to continue funding their organization. Your response, please.
Sure. Well, I would defer you to the State Department on which foreign organizations or organizations that work overseas, humanitarian aid organizations, will continue to be funded. Secretary Rubio has been tasked with now being the acting administrator of USAID. As you all know, we have streamlined USAID into the State Department. Hey, Rachel. And so we want to ensure that we're being good stewards of the American taxpayers' dollars. He is currently going line by line to ensure that foreign aid to private organizations, public organizations, or government organizations aligns with America's interests. So I defer you to them. Sure, Libby.
2% of federal employees have accepted that buyout that was offered. Is that less than the White House was anticipating?
Well, the last time I checked in with Office of Personnel and Management, there was more than 40,000 individuals, federal workers, who had accepted the buyout program. We expect that number to increase, and that alone, just the 40,000, again, we expect it to increase. It's going to save the American people tens of millions of dollars, and we encourage federal workers in this city to accept the very generous offer. If they don't want to show up to the office, if they want to rip the American people off, then they're welcome to take this buyout, and we'll find highly competent individuals who want to fill these roles.
Just to follow up on that, after that deadline tonight passes, I know a lot of people at the White House have said there's still going to be widespread layoffs that would come imminently. Can you expand more on what that would look like?
I was just asked that on television. I have not been part of the discussions about the layoffs in particular. I'm not even sure if that's true. I can check and get back to you.
Meredith. Oh, I was going to ask if you have any updates on the meeting with the lawmakers since we went on this afternoon.
I understand the meeting is still ongoing, and it was been quite some time. They're talking about the budget and the priorities from this administration, the tax priorities.
If I could, the House Republicans are floating the idea of a 5-year extension of the Trump tax cuts. President Trump wants it permanent. Would he sign a bill that has just a 5-year extension?
So I'm glad you brought up taxes. Do you mind holding this so I can bring my receipts? I like to bring the receipts. So these are the tax priorities of the Trump administration that the president has laid out for members in that meeting today. No tax on tips, which is obviously a very public campaign promise that the president made. No tax on seniors' Social Security. No tax on overtime pay. Renewing President Trump's 2017 middle-class tax cuts. Again, these are the president's priorities. Adjusting the SALT cap. Eliminate all the special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners. Close the carried interest tax deduction loophole. Tax cuts for Made in America products. This will be the largest tax cut in history for middle-class working Americans. The president is committed to working with Congress to get this done.
Boom! Boom! Tax cuts! Tax cuts! No tax on tip. No tax on overtime. No tax on Social Security. I mean, holy crap, dude. Holy crap. So, as you guys heard in that questioning, which only happens during the Trump administration, because I did not see any type of questioning like that happening during Biden. Everybody was sleeping. Everybody was sleeping. And they talked about the 40,000 federal employees who have agreed to take the severance pay and quit or retire. Hey, if these people are almost at the retirement age, and if they qualify for that, you need to qualify for it. So once you hit the qualification numbers, I think it's like you have to be 50 years old and you have to have either 20 or 25 years of service. That includes military service. You are qualified to retire from a federal agency. And if you don't want to come to work, we'll give you a severance pay. Get the hell out. Simple as that. So it only at this point only applies to remote workers and people who are close to retirement. I'm not 100% sure the mechanics of it, but out of 2 million or 2.9 million, there's a few numbers being thrown around. Only 40,000 have accepted the offer, and I think there's more coming. I think the administration expecting about 5 to 10% of the workforce to agree to this payout. So who knows? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I mean, I hope they will, because some of these people don't want to come back to work in the office. They want to work remote. They made a comfortable life for themselves. Most people have to go to work. They have to go to work in an office. So I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out, but it's working. It's working itself out some way, somehow. But we also have to talk about DOGE. Okay, as you saw my previous video, DOGE is going in and basically trying to root out all the fraud and all the misappropriation of funds. USAID specifically has been targeted because of their mismanagement and money laundering schemes they've been running. So a lot of speculation has been going on that Elon Musk has access to social security numbers and blah 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 blah, and that's not the case. That's not the case. But the White House is trying to scale back some of that access to these networks at the agency, so people who are running the audits so they shouldn't have full access to everything, which I agree with. I 100% agree with that. They should only have access to a certain thing if they have not gone through the clearance process. Even though the Treasury, it is not a secured facility, which means does not have a secret level type of environment, but still the people who are running these audits or whatever should have some sort of vetting process that they need to go through. So I don't know if they have or not, but I think that should be done. But let's read about this from NBC News. But let's give them a shot. Let's see how they're going to do it. Trump administration agrees to restrict DOGE access to Treasury Department payment system. Attorney for the Justice Department have agreed to temporarily restrict staffers associated with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from accessing information in the Treasury Department payment system. The agreement comes after a group of union members and retirees sued the Treasury Department, alleging that providing DOGE access to federal government, massive payment and collection system, and the personal data housed in it violates federal privacy laws. The Trump administration filed a motion Wednesday night seeking to enter a proposed order that detailed the agreement upon terms. The defendants will not provide access to any payment record or payment system of records maintained by or within the Bureau of the Fiscal Service, the proposed order says. The order would allow exceptions for two special government employees at the Treasury, Tom Cross and Marco Eliz, saying they are permitted access as needed to perform their duties, provided that such access to payment records will be read only. So they only have read only, but again, these people must have been vetted at some point, because they're not just going to pick people and put them in there. So let's continue reading. U.S. District Judge Colleen Cutlery signed off on the agreement Thursday morning. The agreement will stay in place until she rules on the plaintiff's request for a preliminary injunction, which will be the subject of February 24th hearing. Nathan Joshi, an attorney for the plaintiff, said, We are pleased that the court acted quickly to put in safeguards to protect people's personal information until the facts are sorted out. Americans who rely on Social Security and similar programs should be able to trust the government to handle their sensitive information with the utmost care. No one should ever face having their personal information used for improper purposes without their consent, which is why we've brought this case. So if you are familiar with the government system, OPM, it has almost every federal worker's information in OPM, and that was hacked by the Chinese. So they have the social security numbers of everybody that works for the government. So they know who works for the government and who doesn't. So for these people to cry foul is kind of ridiculous to me. But again, I am all for securing private information of private citizens. Okay, private citizens, 100%, 100%. But once you become a public figure, once you are a public figure like a representative or a senator at any capacity, if you are appointed by a president, if you are voted in at any capacity, that information should be public, which I believe it is to a certain limit. But these people are trying to hide the ones that are crying foul. Okay, I'm not saying the private citizens. I'm talking about the politicians who are crying foul over getting access, USAID being defunded or being audited, as well as showing where these funds are going and who's actually signing off on these. That is the problem. Okay, that is where the problem is. But I agree with the judge. There has to be some accountabilities put in place. There has to be some limitations put in place. And not having a full access is also, to me, it's agreeable. I agree with that. There should not be a blanket full access. So that's 100% agree. And I'm glad the White House is actually agreeing with that terms as well. They're not fighting it. It seems that they're going to agree with it. So it's just going to be 100% supervised, and people who are in charge are just going to be looking at certain things with certain accesses. Reach for comments on the order. A White House official said in a statement, those leading this mission with Elon Musk are doing so in full compliance with federal law, appropriate security clearances, and as employees of the relevant agencies, not as outside advisors or entities. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to the request for comments. The suit contends newly minted Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent should not have given DOGE access to the secure system, but Bessent decided behind closed doors to allow individuals not involved in the processing of the government financial transactions to root around in the Bureau's record. Giving access to those records is unlawful, their filing said. And the longer that the private information of plaintiffs' members remains accessible to unauthorized third parties, the greater the irreparable injury is going to happen. After all, as long as the sensitive data of plaintiffs' members remains accessible to Mr. Musk and other members of DOGE, the more opportunity there is for that data to be disclosed to still more unauthorized third parties, either accidentally or deliberately, they added. Which is BS. Okay, they're just playing the blame game. They're like, oh, they're gonna leak the information, they're gonna leak social security numbers, they're gonna steal the information, they're gonna steal the social security numbers. So yeah, we've seen a lot worse from the Treasury Department. A lot worse. Now that they're being audited, now they're concerned about people's security. This is how they play the game. This is how they are. They always play foul. They always play foul. They always play the blame game, because now that the accountability is coming to their doorstep, they are scared. So anyways, let me know what you think, guys. Leave your comments down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Peace out.